Hi, welcome back. I am Jana Parker, and I am with PGCABS, Prince George's County Advocates for a Better School System. And this is our candidate interview series for those candidates who are running for election in the Prince George's County Public School Board. I'm joined by Shayla Adams Stafford, who is running in District 4. Thank you for joining me, Ms. Adams Stafford.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
And just for those who don't know, can you kind of run down a couple of cities in District 4 and maybe a couple of schools?
Yeah, and I just want to apologize in advance if you all hear some Achille, the alphabet cartoon in the background. I have my little one here with me, and she is watching her favorite show. So, uh,
Oh,
my,
oh,
uh,
that's
dis-
awesome.
thank you. My district encompasses Cheverly, Landover, Glenarden, um, Dodge Park, Columbia Park, all along that 50 corridor. And some schools in my district are Bladensburg High School, Bladensburg Middle School, Kenmore Middle School, Cooper Lane, and those Glenarden Woods. Those are some schools that are in my area.
Awesome, awesome. And I definitely understand having a little one underfoot right when you're trying to do everything in this time of distance learning. So I'm sure you're in the same boat with several other parents across the county. And kind of speaking of which, as a school board member, the goal of the school board is to increase engagement with students and parents in the community at large. And how do you intend on doing that in this time of COVID, in this time of distance learning?
Yeah, I think something that I've noticed in my work with school districts across the country is that schools are really taking a mixed layered approach in trying to connect with families. And what I often think about are students that are what I consider to be the furthest away from opportunity, that may not have been touched by the school's outreach. And so in that sense, I think some good old fashioned canvassing can work. There is a way to socially distance and canvas, in that we can go out and go to the homes and connect with parents and family members to just do a wellness check in on students, check in on family members to just to make sure that they have the resources that they need. Um, and if folks are uncomfortable with that per se as a strategy, I really do think that we need to lean on the companies that could expand access to broadband internet, and also uh, provide hotspots for families so that they can be able to have multiple students log on at once, and increase their connectivity to the school. So I think there are multiple ways to connect with families, especially families that may have not been able to connect with schools this past spring. So I would definitely try to bring a lot of my observations from working with school districts across the nation to that particular issue.
When you mentioned businesses, my question next would be, how do you see yourself as a school board member engaging with the businesses within Prince George's County, the small businesses, the elected officials, community members, and community partners to move the agenda and vision of Prince George's County Public Schools of excellence forward?
Yeah, I think it's so important that we think through partnerships, and we already have some strong partnerships with local entities and organizations. However, what I think would be interesting for us to do is to really consider how can we make our county really a beacon of technology for the high wage, high demand careers that are right here in this region. Creating that tech pipeline would be something that I would really want to focus on, and training students in order to gain access into those careers through certifications, through on-site work experience, work-based learning, through starting students as early as elementary school, learning coding, learning basics of IT. That is what it will take in order for us to really move the needle in that way. And so the work that I've done as a tech entrepreneur, I think really make me a great candidate to forge that relationship.
Now, we've been talking about how to support, our schools and our teachers in this time of COVID, as well as our community. But I want to also talk about like something that's been a national conversation for years now, the achievement gap. We've seen it across the country in different demographics. So with Prince George's County being a county that is predominantly people of color, how do you see the Prince George's County School Board addressing the achievement gap within our county?
Yeah, I think this is something that I work on daily, and I think the phrasing even is changing from being an achievement gap to being an opportunity gap. And what I mean by that is that there is no achievement gap at birth, in the words of Lisa Delpit. And this is really created by circumstance of resources and access. And so what that really boils down to is the concept that students of color, on average, are not receiving grade level work, rigorous work, and cognitively sticky work like project-based learning, mastery-based learning, opportunities for creativity and inquiry, and to create connections to their everyday lives. And that really comes to a head with what we call culturally responsive teaching and learning. And so a lot of the work that I do is grounded in culturally responsive teaching and learning, and creating responsive schools and trauma responsive schools and institutions. And so I think that really that is the perspective that I would bring. And I think that we do that by bolstering community schools, by enhancing teacher training around trauma-informed practices, but also around culturally responsive practices, and really ensuring that we have the highest quality educators in front of our students that are trained in these practices so they can be nimble in the moment and meet students where they are. And I think that's the best way that we can close this gap.
Thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
Shifting a little bit of focus here, we talk about the school board. It's very important for school board candidates, as well as people on the school board, quite frankly, to know about the different initiatives that are coming through the pipelines that would affect our students. One of the things that has been spoken about within Prince George's County is P3. That's the public-private partnership to build schools within Prince George's County at a faster rate. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to forge partnerships with businesses that are, of course, folks that we want to hire local. However, I think what's equally as important is that these folks that we hire to do this work, that they build these schools quickly, and they build them within the budget, and that they are, engaged in ethical business practices. And that is really the work of the Board of Education. The Board of Education would oversee that process, and provide that type of oversight and those parameters. And so I think it's very important that we engage in this type of work, but do it deliberately, with a lot of oversight.
Awesome. Um, and my last question, she's so cute. Our last question for tonight would be, today, would be, how do you intend to support the faculty and staff of the school system? You know, the teachers, the bus drivers, the facility workers, also the people that work directly in administration in the office. How do you intend to support all those different cogs within the PGCPS system that help make our school system great?
Yeah, I think, well, one of the great things is that I have been endorsed by all of those labor unions, and they have faith in me as someone who was a former union leader within my own school. I was a union rep. And so what that means was that I took the voices of the employees and the workers to administration. So I know what it's like to advocate for working people. And so I would never shy away from that in my work, if I were to be on the Board of Education. And I think that it's important to have someone that has that perspective, that really knows some of the problems that everyday working people face in systems. And so I would really also work to audit our systems to ensure that they're not being exclusionary, but they are inclusive of the people that, you're right, make this system run every day.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for joining us. And
Yeah.
you are Shayla Adams Stafford, and you are running in District 4 for
Mhm.
school board in Prince George's County. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.